Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Stacey. I'm the foster coordinator at Atlanta Humane Society, and we use ClickUp. So when I was trying to figure out how to improve our foster plea system, I actually posted on the American Pets Live Facebook group and asked, what do you use? And I got a couple of responses from people, including Pensacola Humane, Demi's Animal Rescue, Peninsula Regional Animal Shelter, and Fulton County Animal Services, who all use Trello. So we already had ClickUp as part of our software that we used, which is a very similar service. And so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see it. So, but I definitely took a lot of inspiration from the other boards that were shared with me when I was creating our ClickUp board. So is everybody able to see my screen okay? Awesome. Cool. So this is what our board looks like from our end, the admin end. We do have some volunteers who help add animals to our board. We have a team of them. They get a report from our pet point system every day saying what animals have come in that are eligible to go to foster. And so they go ahead and add the animals to the board in the appropriate columns with some basic information and a picture. And then we go back in and we'll fill in the tags and custom fields and things like that. So our foster board, I always tell fosters to start off over in information and resources on the left, and this answers some kind of general foster related questions that people have had. But kind of like the big one is kind of labels and their meanings. So this is what that looks like. It's a collection of most of our labels and kind of talking about what these things actually mean. So we kind of typed everything out so that people can reference this and kind of understand what these labels mean when they're seeing them. We have a champion program that was developed by our behavior team. And so when an animal has a champion label, that means that they have special behavioral needs that the foster would need to kind of, they'll need to be in connection with one of our behavior team. There's going to be weekly check-ins. There's going to be things that they need to do to make sure that that animal is getting the behavior help that they need. So, and then we're going to go ahead and close that out. So then I have our, how to use our ClickUp thing here. So we've got our email addresses in there. There's 3 people on my team currently. So our foster manager is Kelly Teasley, and then Megan and I are the coordinators. We have 3 campuses. So I run out of our Howell Mill campus in Midtown. Megan runs out of our Alpharetta campus up north of the city. So then we don't really do any foster stuff out of our Duluth campus. It isn't really open yet to the public. But this kind of talks to fosters a little bit about how to use the actual board. And then if somebody, a member of the public, were to access it, they can apply to become a foster through this link here that takes them to our website where they can sign up for orientation. So, but then I've got some other kind of general foster related things here that have come up. We've got our Doggy Day of Adventure program, which fosters are eligible for and can sign up for. What do they do if they're going out of town and while they're fostering, if they need to request an appointment to get some medical stuff done, different resources, a link to our library, and all kinds of stuff like that. So then I've got our behavioral help and our medical info columns. These are some frequently asked medical and behavioral related questions that we've gotten, including like, what's involved in heartworm treatment, if I want to foster ringworm kittens, what's involved there? What do I do if my foster pet has ingested a toxic substance? So, and then some basic, medical stuff. How do I help my foster pet settle in on their first night home? How do I set up my home? What do I do if a bite happens? And then of course, at the top of the medical, there is a copy of our what to do in case of emergency sheet. I have this listed in about 5 different places fosters can access. And, but this is just something that they can reference if anything ever happens so that they know who to call and what to do. And then we've got our urgent column. Our urgent animals are obviously the ones that we want fosters to look at first, ideally. And I go over this board in detail with all of our new fosters we have to do home checks here in Georgia. So it's a great opportunity for us to kind of chat one-on-one with each new foster and make sure they know what they're looking at when they're looking at the board. So, but like, for example, if we wanted someone to look at Sunny here, so Sunny's been with us for quite a while. He gets very overstimulated in shelter. He was in foster for a while, but you can kind of see here what it looks like when we open up Sunny's card. So we have all these tags that we can add. So he's urgent because of his time in the shelter. He is housebroken, but he does get over-aroused and mouthy and jumpy. So if I wanted to add more tags, I can, select from this list that we have here of all of our available tags, or I can create new ones if the situation warrants it. And then updating things here is really easy. You can type in whatever comments you need. Uploading pictures is really easy. You just kind of copy and paste them in. Then we've got our own custom fields down here where we can select different information as we learn information about the pet. We're not always going to have a lot of info. A lot of our animals come from other shelters, so we don't always necessarily know if they're potty trained or how they are with cats. But as that information becomes available, if they go out for Doggy Day of Adventure, then we can update our board with that info. But you can kind of see here, we have the date that they came to us. You know, when I was building this out, I was kind of thinking about what are the questions that fosters ask me the most when they're looking to take a foster pet home? Like, when did they come? Where did they come from? Why are they here? How are they potty trained? How are they with other animals? What's their energy level like? And I worked with our behavior team to build out some responses here to the behavior related questions that, you know, kind of go in line with the language that they wanted to use and are easy for fosters to understand. So we have an unknown option if we don't know, and then, you know, does not like other dogs, fearful, likes a well-matched dog companion, enjoys some dogs, positive behavior with most dogs. And then, of course, we've also got our cat options. So we don't know how Sunny is with cats. A lot of our dogs, we don't know how they are with cats until they actually go out. But if we did know, then I would just click that and I could say, you know, that he's known to have killed a cat or overly interested, or that he successfully lived with one, or that he safely interacts with one. So we have all those options there. And then if we needed to add more, it's really easy to do that as well. So for this particular dog in our kids category, he's teens and up, just because like he is, you know, big, mouthy, and jumpy. He was actually in foster with a younger kid before and did all right with him, but it was kind of a lot for the mom to deal with, and part of the reason why she ended up bringing him back. So, and then at energy level, as we learn more about them and their energy level, then we can update this so that if fosters are looking for, you know, a dog that wants to go out to the lake or go hiking with them, or if they're looking for somebody that's going to be more of a couch buddy, then they can kind of, you know, base their foster selections here. And then if somebody wanted to take Sunny home, then we have our submit your request form here at the bottom that they would fill this out, and it takes them to a form, a Microsoft form, that they would be able to fill this out and tell us, you know, what their name is, who they want to foster, when they want to pick them up, and what supplies they need, and any other notes that they want to tell us about them. We schedule all of our pickups through our pet point calendar. And so, because we kind of share space with our admissions team, which also uses our pet point calendar for group transports in and owner surrenders. So this is how we kind of, you know, slide foster appointments in between other intake appointments, that we ask people to, you know, hey, give us some days and some time frames, and we'll schedule you for the earliest available appointment. So for supplies, we provide our fosters with everything that they need for them. So I tell new people, like, maybe the first time you're picking up a foster pet, you're just going to put everything in there. Whereas as you've fostered more and you're building up your stash, then you might just need like food and meds as you go along. So, and then the note section, I tell fosters is like, you know, hey, if there's like, you got a meeting on Friday from 2 to 3 that you can't come, put a note in there, and that way we'll make sure we don't schedule you in that time slot, but otherwise we'll schedule you for the earliest available time frame. So going back to the board, close out of that, but yeah, you can kind of see we've also got a column for our outside requests. These are requests that we get from other shelters or members of the public who have, you know, animals they want us to pull, and we're willing to do so if we have a foster lineup. A lot of times this is going to be moms and babies, pregnant moms, newborn orphans, or it may also be medical or behavioral cases that we don't want sitting here in the shelter if we can avoid it. So right now we've got some, you know, we have a URI kitten that our friends in Warner Robins want us to take. We got a request for a mama dog and her 10 puppies, and a mama cat and her 5 kittens. So obviously, as I'm sure all you guys know, getting adult large dogs and large litters of puppies out is a challenge. So, you know, we kind of also will post these on our Facebook page. We'll post about them in our newsletter as it goes out, just to kind of like get the info out to as many people as possible. This is a public link, so fosters, I tell them to bookmark it and check it whenever they're ready. They don't get notifications or anything from the board though, so we kind of use Facebook for that. If we get in, you know, somebody shows up with a box of newborn kittens, then we'll post that on our Facebook page as well, just to kind of send out those notifications and hit as many people as possible, because we know not everybody's going to be checking our board all the time. And we've got our regular dogs and puppies and cats and kittens columns. These are going to be for animals that are generally friendly, social, and healthy for the most part. You know, we've got, you know, Haven here, who, you know, she's a really sweet heartworm positive pit bull. So, you know, we've got a couple of pictures a lot of times for these animals. We have a little bit of information. So she's got our love bug tag because she's super sweet. And yeah, she went out to foster first, which is our foster to adopt program, but she was too big for the condo, unfortunately. So we don't have a ton of other information about her, except that we know she's housebroken and she is heartworm positive. So she's got our heartworm positive tag. So, but again, fosters can click the form if they want to foster little Miss Haven. So then we've got our medical needs column. So these are going to be usually animals that are, you know, maybe got URI or kennel cough or ringworm or recovering from an illness or an injury. So fosters can see a little bit about the pet by clicking those cards and, you know, see a picture and learn a little bit about what the animal needs in terms of medical treatment. So like Lieutenant, he was pretty skinny when he came in October 18th. He was transferred in from another shelter. He does have some resource guarding with food behaviors, possibly because, you know, food was an issue for him to be able to get in the past. So we would say, you know, if they have other pets at home, that he would need to be kept separate from them during feeding time until he's done. So, and then, you know, we've got, you know, our URI kennel cough tag that they have if they're sick with that, or if they want to take one of our ringworm kittens, that we've got tons of those in our fungal jungle right now. So, but we have a whole article as well that one of our vets wrote if a foster wanted to foster ringworm, that if somebody is willing to do that. We don't have a ton of people who do, but our vet, Dr. Koyman, wrote this really cool article if a foster did want to learn more about doing that in the home. So that's really awesome. So we've also got our short-term foster needs column. That's going to be for like animals who need a sitter while their foster's going out of town. So we usually ask fosters to first post on our Facebook page if they need a sitter, and then we'll take that information that they've posted, those pictures, videos, the cute little anecdotes, the story about the animal, and we'll post that into the short-term column. Like Chance here, so his foster's going out of town for a week. And so she posted this cool stuff, these cute little pictures, and you know, that way fosters can click the picture, see more stuff about him. You know, these larger dogs do tend to be harder for us to get out to foster just because he doesn't like other dogs. So, but if we can't find anybody, then he comes back and hangs out with us at the shelter while she's out of town. So. And then at the very end, we've got our scheduling and process column. This is where we'll put animals that have maybe already been spoken for by a foster, but haven't left the building just yet. Just because we know that sometimes these things do fall through, plans change, things come up, so that if, you know, the foster who stepped up for the kittens from One Love isn't able to foster them anymore, then we'll just move them back over to our urgents column and post about them on Facebook. So we also do get an email that gets sent out to our volunteers every evening, listing all the animals that were adopted for the day. So, and our foster volunteers are able to, each animal has a little check mark on the bottom that they can click that, and it automatically will move the animal over to the scheduling and process column. So, and then we can just, you know, remove them from the board, archive them, or delete them as needed. That all they have to do is click that and they get moved over, or we can move them right back if they need to go.
That's really cool. How do you keep the board updated, and how do you start it? Do the foster team do it, or do you have volunteers, or how does it work?
Sure. Well, our volunteer ClickUp team creates new cards for animals as they come in. They get a report from PetPoint that says, they get a report from our PetPoint system that says, you know, these are the animals that came in today that are eligible to go to foster. So it has some parameters of animals that are either under 8 weeks old or over 6 months old. And if any picture was taken on intake or uploaded, then we'll get the picture, just some basic information, and they'll upload those and one of our links for whichever campus the foster request needs to go out to. But this is what that might look like. You know, this was created by Jackie, one of our volunteers. So she uploaded a couple of these pictures, and then as Buffy is here longer and we learn more about her, and we maybe learn, okay, maybe she doesn't like other cats, or maybe she does, maybe she goes out to foster first and comes back if it doesn't work out. As we learn more about her, we can update her bio with more information. We tend to adopt out cats pretty quickly, so we don't always get a chance to upload a lot of information or extra pictures unless they've been back and forth to foster. So that's what that looks like. And then at the end of the day, whoever it is that's on duty for the day, because we have like 7 or 8 people on our ClickUp team. Whoever's on duty for the day will get the adopted email, and then they'll go through and they will close out anybody who was adopted that day, which moves them over to scheduling and process, and then we can archive them.
Do you find that you get less help with the medical needs at all with having a board specified for them?
Not necessarily. Getting medical animals out has always been a challenge, and some of our fosters love it because it's a short-term commitment and they don't need to worry about necessarily having this cat in their house or this dog in their house for 3 months until it gets adopted. So we do try to encourage people to look in that direction. We get people, usually it's, the cats and kittens that we have an easier time getting out, just because people are able to isolate them away from their own pets easier. But we don't, it's probably about the same as before, that, when we had people reaching out and we send out emails twice a week, which was super labor intensive. But yeah, we get people who will take home the medical cases, but the dogs have always been more of a challenge for us. So we have more luck with cats and kittens.
ClickUp, is it, I guess this is, I guess you have to, it's a subscription, or how does that work? Do you know anything about the fees?
Sure, there is a free level, and then there's a subscription level. So with the subscription level, which is what we have because we already had the service for other projects going on at the shelter, then you have access to things like the custom fields and the tags. But at the free level, I think you could probably create as many of these little cards as you needed to. But the subscription, I'm not 100% sure how much it costs. I don't recall it being super expensive when we were looking into it last year. But yeah, because at first I was building a Trello board and they were like, hey, we've got ClickUp, why don't you just use this instead? So I think Trello and ClickUp are very, very similar in terms of the levels that you can get for what you can get for free versus what you have to pay a subscription for. I think they're competitors, so.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And they both look pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi, Stacey. So is ClickUp an app to organize things? It sounds like what you're doing is just breaking all the foster into different categories, right? So is it like is that kind of app? It's like it has allow you to just organize things. I've never heard of it before until today.
Sure. Yeah, it's just a great way to our fosters, because what we used to do, a little background, we used to send out emails twice a week listing all of the animals eligible to go to foster. So as I'm sure you can imagine, it was quite an undertaking putting together all of this information twice a week. And then when COVID happened, we had to pivot and figure out what we were going to do, because instead of only sending out animals to foster who really needed it, like the underage, the sick, the behavioral needs, and those who've been with us for a super long time, we had to send out everybody. So we had to kind of figure out a way to make fosters aware of all of the animals eligible to go without having to necessarily remake the wheel every Tuesday and Friday every time we were sending out our emails. So this was just a way for us to kind of make all the information that we had available to people so they could check it whenever they wanted to.
Hi, I have a question. With both of these platforms, are your organizations also using the information for adoptions as well?
So for ours, a lot of the information that we have is, information that's already in our Pet Point system that we can put into our Pet Tango memos that are on our website. So it's all very similar, like we're shared back and forth. And then as we, if an animal's in foster for 7 days, we have surveys that get sent out to them to say like, hey, give us some pictures, fill out this report card to let us know how things are going, and then we can get that information from them and update their bios online. But this isn't something that is generally it's a public website, but not something that we share to people outside of our foster program usually.
And for us, since we encourage the fosters to update things on there, and anybody who's an admin gets a notification anytime somebody adds a comment or adds a photo or changes anything, then we'll update anything as needed for their adoption bio.
Thank you.
Stacey, so it sounds like with your system, somebody from the admin is doing the update, but with Alicia's system, it looks like foster can actually do their own update, right? Am I?
Yeah, pretty much. So when our animals go to foster, we take them off the board so that you know. And I actually I've taken a lot of notes when she was talking, and I kind of love the idea of having already in foster columns. So I'm like, you know, percolating on that for, you know, the next update to the board. But yeah, so we don't really have a need for our fosters to be able to update the cards at this point because we take the animals off once they go to foster. But that's thing that, you know, we may explore when I talk to my team about this later in the week.
It's a good point. I meant to ask like, how do you like archive old ones, or do you delete them? Because I feel like there's got to be so many times when you're like, oh crap, that one needs to go back into foster or whatever.
Yeah.
We archive them when they go into foster, and then when they get adopted, and as long as it's something that we're pretty confident isn't going to come back, we'll delete it. But yeah, our archive tends to get pretty full, and then we just have to kind of go back every now and then and just kind of clear out the old stuff because it kind of lags the system a bit with having so much stuff in it.
That makes sense.
So do you have like to delete them from the archive? Do you give it a adoption after 3 months, adoption after 6 months, or how do you decide that it's time to delete a certain, you know, animals?
And we don't have anything quite so formal. It's just pretty much like going through there and knowing, okay, this animal has been gone for a while. I can go ahead and delete them. And all the information that we have as well, it's still stored in our pet point system that if they do end up coming back, we can just recreate the card if we need to with the pictures and everything, because we still have all the info.